Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 2 versus 2 on Black Forest, and I'm going to be playing with Berlin Command. I wanted to share this replay with you guys today because it really allowed me to focus on the Nighthawk and the Mirage 4, two of the most awesome weapons in this division. And since over the past few patches they've been adjusted a lot, I wanted to take the opportunity in this game to really try out how strong they are currently in the game. So you'll be seeing a lot of the Nighthawks, a lot of the Mirage 4s. Plenty to look forward to, so definitely make sure to strap in and enjoy. So we are heading off with the PSSE. These are my special forces. They used to be called Detachment A, I believe. They are now renamed to PSSE TAC B, and they have a Fox following them up. I've also got one over here, the PSSE, and I've got a P4 PC that's going to be moving into this sector to capture it. Following those up, I've got a couple of Mistrals. I've got a Rifle Squad and a Sapper with the Flamethrower. Then I've got a bunch of vehicles, the M1IP, the 2 AMX-30Bs, a couple of PVADs, and a Chieftain Mark 10 Command. Very cool. So at the start here, we're going to be coming under fire from the Spetsnaz of Fox. The PSSE not having the range to engage with their MP5s. Fox taking a little bit of a shot there at the MI2. But Mistral going to be able to hit it successfully, so that worked out quite nicely. But here we go, MP5 are going to be engaging. The AKSUs of Fox now firing as well. I don't want to get these overwhelmed. I also don't want them to be completely demolished by the RPOs of the Spetsnaz. So just falling them back there to make sure that they can survive, and I maintain the recon that they provide throughout the game. The Sappers and the Rifles, though, they can engage nicely, and also the Fox, pretty free to engage here because neither the Spetsnaz nor the BRDM can really deal with the Fox. So the Fox can just continuously unload 30mm into these Spetsnaz, and you can see it's causing them to be stunned, take a lot of damage. My Sappers, in return, are also taking damage from the BRDM mainly. But here come a bunch of KDA Schützen. Just as well, all of my tanks and such have arrived. So Chieftain Mark 10 Command moving up. I've got the AMX-30B moving up on the left hand side. That's going to be opening up with both their main gun and their 20mm. Look at those poor KDA Schützen getting absolutely hammered. And they go down extremely quickly. There's one thing that the AMX-30Bs are really good for, is dealing with light armor and infantry from range like this, where they can fire their autocannon at the same time. It's incredibly strong. So going to be taking out the BRDM and the PT-76. And now I have the first of the Nighthawks on the way. So yeah, going to be seeing plenty of these, plenty of awesome bombing strikes, of some incredibly satisfying bombing strikes throughout this game. You'll want to make sure you stick around for them. But in this case, not going to be a bombing strike at the beginning, mainly because this aircraft coming in kind of scared me a little bit. So I evac'd it immediately. It turned out to be an Su-24M cluster bomber. It does get shot down, but it takes my M1IP with it, so a effective cluster strike, but did cost my opponent Fox the aircraft. Now another Su-22M4 going to be coming in this time. This one has its 500 kilogram cluster. With the Su-22, it does have quite a substantial amount more ECM, but able to get away from the AA that time around. MI2 going down though. Now I'm going to be spotting this flank coming in. So Spetsnaz OP on my right flank. That is not good because my P4 PC here is a little bit vulnerable. I've got 2 commands in here, so it's fine. I can move the P4 PC around even outside of this without having to worry too much. That was the one that was originally down here. I drove it up here with the Alouette to cover, make sure that I'm not running into anything. But of course, I didn't end up spotting the Spetsnaz in time. So they're going to be over there on my right flank. Meanwhile, AMX-30B going to be doing its best to try and transport snipe as much of the stuff coming up the road as possible. And I'm going to have to try and figure out a way to deal with Spetsnaz, because I don't really have infantry that is better than Spetsnaz at close range. Like the sappers with the flamethrowers are good, but the RPO launchers of the Spetsnaz are incredible. And if they are reloaded correctly, then they're going to cause issues. So what I decided to do is spot the Spetsnaz and Spetsnaz OP with the Alouette, and here come the Nighthawk bombing strikes. Since this is very deep into my lines, I'm not too worried about AA, which is perfect. Bombs away. And there goes one of the Spetsnaz squad, just immediately one shot. Meanwhile, T-62s taking a ton of damage from my AMX-30s. There goes another bombing strike. That one, unfortunately, getting off target. T-62s both getting hit very hard and going down. Now another bombing strike coming through. Takes out the second Spetsnaz squad. I've got one bomb left from this Nighthawk. Going to try and take out one of the Spetsnaz OP at least. And off it goes. Unfortunately, not quite on target. They have to be almost exactly on target, really, to do damage. Otherwise, they don't do too much. So in that case, the Spetsnaz is going to be left alive. But at least both of the mainline Spetsnaz squads taken out. Su-22 coming in again for another cluster strike. Does manage to get away with it. Doesn't kill my AMX-30 though, so I'm relatively happy with that. The main thing is, just got to keep an eye on these Spetsnaz OP. As long as my Alouette is sitting here, I can see if they are going to try and cross on the backside here to get into my flanks. But in this case, I can see that Fox is actually trying to fall them back. So my Foxes are now coming over to get some damage onto them. And I'm bringing up plenty more reinforcements. You can see I've got a couple of M1 IPs. We've got a couple of Chieftain Mark 10s. Another Javelin squad, well, Javelin squad coming in now to join the Mistral squads. You see the Bedford supply there, of course, needed to get them topped up with ammo. MX-30 up against BMP 1Ps. As long as the HGM doesn't hit, there's a good chance my MX-30 will kill them, but unfortunately one lands on target, actually routes my MX-30 because it was already low on cohesion, and as the Metis launcher Motostrauki unload, you can take even more damage. Javelin though, taking out the Mi-2, blinding Farks once again, which is good. Gonna want to make sure I keep shooting down those recon aircraft as much as possible. Chieftain Mark 10 trying to do its best, but backed up by the T-80BV. Those BMP 1s and such can do enough damage to get the job done, so I do end up losing my Chieftain. Now time for the Alouette to have a good look around. So trying to spot again the Spetsnaz OP so the sappers can run in there and take them out. And then the Alouette that's going to continue to move off around this area, so just in case there's any units kind of sneaking through. Nighthawks are ready again. Looking for the bombs onto the T-80BV. And look at that. Bang on. If one of those Nighthawk bombs lands on target, they do one-shot heavy tanks, and it is pretty cool. Quite strong, to be honest, but here we go again with the bombing strikes. There's a KDA Schützen take go of, and this KDA Schützen lucky to be alive as that bomb unfortunately misses. I'm not entirely sure what determines whether or not a Nighthawk's going to hit or not. You'd more or less think they'd hit every time, but maybe that would just be O2 OP. And Motostrauki Metis squad's now engaging the AMX-30B and forcing it to rout once again. The M1 IP here, able to kind of tank those in the frontal armor, not too bad, so I'm just allowing that to continue its engagement so I can take out the Motostrauki Metis there. So that's one of them down. Now going to be engaging the other. This M1 IP was getting a couple shots onto the KDA Schützen, but I do have the sappers here. They're going to be able to follow that up. So you can see I've spread out a bunch of alouettes on the back side now. I'm just going to be chilling here, keeping an eye on the tree lines so that we don't get killed by those Spetsnaz or any other squads that want to try and sneak around the side, or even any vehicles. So that Monstroki Metis now taken care of. And I did lose some health, but it wasn't too bad. That enemy artillery coming in onto my PSSE. The great thing about these PSSE is they are relatively strong on their own for killing enemy infantry, but they do provide decent recon. In this case, losing them means that it's going to be harder for me to spot like infantry coming down these hills. I would have liked to have it on the road so I could see what vehicles are coming, get better line of sight to the vehicles and stuff, but unfortunately the artillery gets the better of me. It's now that I'm going to notice Sathor is going for a bit of a flank here. He's bringing up the BTR 60PBs with some infantry to try and push on this right hand side. Well, I've got a trick up my sleeve. It is 2 Mirage 4s. Bombs away. Oh, look at that. Absolutely awesome. Also, the Su-24M cluster aircraft crashing in the meantime. Insane. Wow. Sappers going to be engaging the KDA Schützen. There's a bit too much for me, though. They're backed up by the military police. But I did manage to get through in the meantime with the M1IP. See there, though, the Nighthawks getting incredible kills onto those infantry, and yeah, we were going to work in this game with the Nighthawks. There we go, Nighthawks now dropping onto the BTR 60PB as well, just making sure that I finished off anything that was left over after that bombing strike. Now the Harrier GR3 back here, trying to look for the kill onto the MI2 that's managed to sneak through. That came all the way around the left side of the map. Sitting in our spawn, so the Harrier's got a job to do. We managed to take that out. Easy stuff for the Harrier. M1IP in the meantime, looking for more targets. Unfortunately going to take a side shot there. Significant amount of damage. These sappers moving through, engaging. The KDA Schützen are going to manage to finish them off. That was good. My Harrier, meanwhile, was looking for enemy targets. Going to end up having to run away from enemy AA. Very lucky not to get shot down. These things don't have a crazy amount of ECM. But the Tornado IDSs of VSR certainly do. So he's able to get some decent cluster strikes in there. Yeah, we managed to secure our sector, which is good. Puts us on a +1. We're going to start to increase our score lead. M1IP now engaging the KDA Schützen. I'm going to be able to get a couple of these MTLBs, which was nice, because it's going to be able, I'm going to be able to top off ammo and potentially fix that tank, unless those pesky Spetsnaz OP squads come back and find a side shot, which they do, and the M1IP goes down very quickly indeed, because those Spetsnaz OP, their AT has 21 penetration. You see all these AMX-30Bs kind of just like aiming down the road. I've got the Chieftain Mark 10 command with them, providing extra veterancy, making them more effective. Got this one to repair back here, and then I've got some Foxes further back there, which kind of protecting my flank for the time being. A couple of P-Vads back there still. You can see the sappers making short work of the Spetsnaz OP. I've now got the engineers with flash launchers and the rifles engaging the military police and the KDA Schützen. These are my nice British rifles firing away. And we've got the American engineers with their flash launchers. As those KDA are trying to retreat, they are going to walk into the fire of the AMX-30B as well as the sappers across the road. So not having a fun time, but neither are my sappers as the Mi-8 MT opens up with its rockets. You might have noticed in the bottom left, these are all of my aircraft. The Mirage 4s, they take a long time to reload, like a long time. And yes, I guess they kind of did a decent amount of damage. I kind of feel like it might be a bit long. Because the Nighthawks, you know, they're coming in for like their third or fourth sortie in the same amount of time. Here we go again. 2 Nighthawks moving in, looking for targets. Gonna keep them hovering about because I'm gonna be looking to find things to engage. You can see I'm spreading out my infantry. I'm using my PVADs aggressively to try and attack his aircraft. I mean, if I can take down the helicopters, then that would be fantastic. Here we go, though. Bombing strikes. T-80 BVK gets smacked. And I'm going to take out, I think, one of the infantry there, potentially. The T-80 BVK was a very nice kill, indeed. Nighthawks coming back around for another couple bombing strikes. Going to be looking to engage these Motostrauki. Targeted the Motostrauki. Unfortunately, one of those bombs went quite astray. And friendly fired VSR. To which I apologize. But we did hit the Mudschützen there, so it wasn't so bad. But a bit of classic blue on blue. The T8 Tornado IDS comes in with its cluster strike, does get shot down this time around. ECM not quite being enough that time. So Bedford supplies now on the way. I need to make sure that these engineers with flash launchers maintain flash rockets, otherwise they're going to be more or less useless. They would just be like 5-man M16 squads in that case. So making sure that you have supply with any units that use incendiary rocket launchers is incredibly important. It's not so much important for flamethrower units because they have quite a lot of ammo, but for like these flash launchers, for example, making sure you have a supply with them is very, very helpful. These sappers also going to be getting reinforced, so that's good. And now just going to continue to try and put pressure through these trees. It's quite difficult from this position to do anything meaningful because the next sector that I can really attack is Echo, and in order to get there I've got to go very deep. So what I'm going to decide to do instead is try and help VSR secure the far side of this sector. Like so far he's done a great job in pushing up with his Leopards, his Marders and some of his infantry. Now I'm just going to give him a bit of an extra push and we'll hopefully get the enemy command out of that sector. T-62 is coming up the road. A little bit of a problem for my AMX-30s, especially when they came under fire from the MA8s at the same time. See, I did find an enemy Aufkladder, but all of this infantry is going to be moving to the left with the M1IP, and I've got, of course, all these reinforcements that you can see coming in. They're going to be zooming up the road. They're even following some more supply.
We can't take it anymore.
So rifles versus KDA Schützen. The rifles, in this case, low cohesion. It's going to take a while for these both to kill each other off, but as soon as the engineers with the flash launchers get involved and the sappers, that's going to help speed things up a lot. PVADs looking for the kill onto the MI2. Just want to try and remove as much of their recon as possible. Now we've got enemy rocket strike coming in. In this case, a little bit late because most of my infantry is moving forwards, and I make sure to continue moving forwards as quickly as possible with that rocket strike coming in. My Fox holding fire because it's inefficient against the T-62M. Gonna have to find something to kill that. I do have the M1IP back here, for example. Would be a choice. But I'm really just waiting for my infantry to arrive so I can make this push to the left side. Because these T-62s can always be dealt with with the Nighthawks. But what I did realize is on this right-hand side, there isn't too much going on. So I thought to myself, you know what, I really want to get rid of some of this artillery. How am I going to do that? I don't really have like amazing counter battery, I don't think. So I thought, you know what, let's use the Nighthawks. Because they're stealthy, they might not see it coming. So I'm just going to be charging forwards with the Alouettes, getting recon onto their artillery and just bomb it directly. Which sounds wild, but there hasn't really been any significant AA that I've had to worry about so far. So the Nighthawks, they're going to go deep. We spotted the RM70 cluster. We're also going to end up spotting a bunch of 122mm artillery pieces. So bombs away. There's the RM70, that gets smacked, and swiftly follows, does 3 122s that were unloaded next to each other. Beautiful bombing strikes there from the Nighthawks. On the way out, do take a bit of AA fire from the Strellas that were spread about in the forest, but otherwise, fantastic job, and my Alouette's now going to be doing a bit of a runner. Probably won't get away with that one again. So these are Spetsnaz OP and Mutschützen. A little bit risky, really. Well, very risky for me to be charging up to these, but I hoped that I would be able to stun them and kill them before they fired more than one shot. In this case, you can see the M1 IP takes 2. We do manage to kill it before it kills my tanks. So we clean up all that infantry, and now I can just move it back, get it fixed up if I need to. TATBV in the meantime, going to come under fire from the Milan and the Milan 2. We've got the MI2 getting shot at by the AA, and I'm also cleaning out some of the AA that was in here, the Strellas. So Chieftain trying to reverse, trying to get out of there as soon as possible. Gets caught up to, unfortunately, by an infantry squad, and that's quite a costly loss for me, for sure. The sappers now engaging the Mutschützen. We got Harrier GR3 coming over. It's looking for enemy helicopters to kill. Potentially enemy aircraft if they should come in. Yeah, the sappers doing a good job there, which is really good. And on the left side, you can see that here comes another bombing strike. Try and clean out the town as much as I can. One of the Mirage 4s does go down, unfortunately. Second one getting away. This Harrier GR3 taking some very long range radar missile fire. Gets away with the second shot. Yeah, that bombing strike was basically to lead the way for VSR to push into the town. I'm also bringing up all of this infantry, as you can see, and now my tanks are also going to be moving in. These engineers moving back, trying to get resupplied by the Bedfords. If I can get the flash launcher reloaded, that's all I really need. Meanwhile, the sappers can try and hold the line with their flamethrower. But here comes the push. My engineers, supported by all of these tanks, and the Berlin Light Rifles, moving in to engage. I love the sound of the Chieftain Mark 10 firing. Very, very cool. My line of infantry smashing the town. Enemy artillery is coming in, which I am going to want to move away from. I'm also going to want to be careful about the S-22 here. It does manage to catch out one of the Chieftain Mark 10s on the backside. Harrier GR3 manages to get a shot onto the MiG-25 RBF as that comes in and lands all of those bombs. I do lose an M1 IP, but we trade it for a T-80BV. So not the worst case. You see that my infantry have found the Strela 2Ms that were in the forest, And I've managed to get infantry into the buildings, which is probably the most important part. And with the combined push with VSR, we are making some serious ground here. But now what we've got to do is find the enemy command. Because if we can get rid of the command in this sector, then we'll go up to a +2 at least. And then we can try and push maybe deeper in order to grab extra points. I mean, we've done a lot of damage so far. My bombing strikes have been incredibly effective. And they've been really, really cool to watch. Strela 10M's getting picked off on the backside. That's what we like to see. M1IP pushing aggressively. Meanwhile, trying to take out the BTR. Engineer gets its flames on target. Igla gonna get taken out. Now looking for the Modstrauki leader. MI-24 is going to cause me issues for sure. F-16 does get a missile on target though, so we won't have to worry about the Kokon for the time being. Now a bunch more units coming in. I've also got the Nighthawk coming in again. There it goes with another bomb. Looking for the Sapody. Take out that squad. Nice and easy. F-16 again with a missile on target. No kill. Area GR3 coming in to try and finish that off. Don't quite get it, as we do get hit by a radar missile. GR3 is going to go down. So over here, did bring in some extra infantry to help fight at the close range. One of them gets killed in the transport because I'm not obviously paying attention to that right now, as we are making this huge push into the town. And I'm also still dealing with this engagement in the trees there. Yeah, look at this. My bombing strike did so much damage to this town. So eventually, the rest of my infantry here is going to get picked off. Bucks managing to get enough KDA Schützen and military police together. But the push is just going to continue now. We have massive momentum here, especially with the sheer amount of AMX-30s and Chieftains I brought in. So as we come out of the town, we're just going to keep the advance going. Push towards the next sector. Fox providing good support against the close range infantry I just unloaded, so that's good. Got to be a little bit worried about these cluster aircraft. In this case, it thankfully missed. T-80BV definitely in a bad spot. One of my AMX-30s is going to go down. Do otherwise take it out. MIA could definitely cause a few cohesion problems amongst my tanks. I am going to want to deal with that. Milan 2, close range HGM, straight into the T-80BV, takes that out. I was hoping I would get another HGM on target, but gets killed off just in time. Now the Nighthawk looking for the bombing strike there. Try and kill that off. Meanwhile, enemy infantry has taken up position in these buildings. The Modstrauki BMP with the side shot onto my M1IP manages to kill it off. Now the AMX-30Bs have got their autocannons on target and will do a lot of damage, but we are still taking damage because of the BMP-2 hitting us with the Conkers. Also MiG-27s coming in with their AT. I'm going to be forced to smoke off pretty much all of my tanks as those MiG-27s come around. They are going to be falling back, but as you can see, my push has been significantly hampered. Now it's going to be the charge of the Foxes. I had these recon Foxes hanging about, so I was hoping to be able to do some damage with them, and we do manage to run down a T-62M, and we also take out that supply. I've just got them on a attack move order towards this sector. I do lose one Fox here, unfortunately. we are going to be able to finish off another T-62. Nighthawk now coming in for the bombing strike, but Su-27S, the perfect counter really to my Nighthawk. Poor Nighthawk does eventually go down. Big bombing strike comes through as well from the MiG-25 RPF, the good old Foxbat. Very cool aircraft. So yeah, we're definitely in shambles here. Mostrowski opening up again with their RPGs. Foxes continuing to move through are going to find an OSA, which is nice. Take out that radar AA piece. And they're just going to continue going on a tear around the tree line. We're just pushing in across here because this is where most of the reinforcements are going to be coming in. So if we can just keep it blocked further up, they're not going to be able to contest the sectors, and then we can win the game. Also, I might be able to get a command into the corner of this sector, so that would be good. Oh yeah, you might have noticed I had an Alouette here. I think it ran out of fuel, so it was just kind of sat on the ground here, and eventually got RT'd once it got spotted by the Mi-2.
Just get me out of here.
A couple of rifles, engineers, going to be taking care of the grenade launchers in the forest. I also had plans for this left side. I thought, you know what, this is fairly defended. I can probably go and capture Foxtrot. So that's what I'm also going to be trying to do in this game. AMX-30 engages the Gaz. On the right side here, I did find a book as well. We managed to kill that, so that was really nice. And the Foxes are spreading out to just check if there's any commands here. It's not necessarily quite very likely that they would have a command here, but it's worth, you know, driving around the Foxes just to check. Meanwhile, the MX-30s and Chieftain Mark 10s are just going to keep rolling down that road. Ideally, I should have had them stay together, like more together at least, so that if a tank does come up the road like this T-80BV, we can get plenty of firepower on target before each tank gets picked off one by one. But yeah, the T-80BV in this case getting a lot of damage done to my units. And we didn't really have to push in this scenario, but of course it is always fun to do so. So we're definitely overextending, but just because it's fun, pretty much. Not something I would necessarily normally recommend. Here comes the Nighthawk. It's going to try and help me with that T-80BV. Got the Fox on return fire, so it doesn't shoot at the Mi-2 and just stays hidden. And on the left we have our units coming in still. Unfortunately for this Nighthawk, I do get hit by a bunch of Stratas that are still camping it out on the hill. So I've decided to task my engineers and my sappers here to run across and go and deal with them. I've also got the M35 that can give them more ammo on their launchers, so they will stop and get some more ammo along the way. Meanwhile on the left, the Berlin Light Rifles with the recoilless and the sappers and a couple of rifles are moving up with the P4PC to capture the left-hand side. I was a little bit worried about this P4PC getting killed, so I am going to be pulling off the road there, letting my other infantry go ahead first. So KD-8 shoots and dealt with. The Alouettes have spotted and helped us kill the enemy. But here we go, a couple of GR3s coming up on the right hand side. Just looking to engage enemy aircraft, potentially take down the helicopters here. That was what I was hoping. So the Berlin Light Rifles, well, they're going to run into an ambush. The Motorstraki here managed to kill 2 of those before they unload, because I was definitely busy focusing on this right hand side as the Su-27 came in to engage my Harrier GR3s. So look at this, absolute carnage. As like 4 out of the 6 squads get killed in their transport. Really, really bad. Thankfully, the Chieftain Mark 10 is coming up as well. Yeah, what ended up happening there was basically I felt like there was nothing here. So I ended up sending everything forwards, including the command, the P4PC command, and it cost me for not paying attention. But I do still have obviously this leader, so that's going to help cap. So I managed to find and kill the Strela 2Ms that were hurting my Nighthawks. And the Fox is able to take care of the MI2. Alpha Jet from VSR, definitely going to be very helpful for my rifles to clean up the kills there. Now we're on a +3 as we started to contest that left-hand side. Then a bit of a bunch of tanks here kind of building up, ready to make a push. This chieftain is just sat here because it's run out of fuel. So I can't really run away with that. Just got to kind of accept its fate. Yeah, my original P4PC that came in here did manage to neutralize this. So yeah, that was why it went to +3. Now it's going to go to +4 if we cap that. There's also the M1IP in here. That's going to decap this, but Fox coming in with the MiG-27s very rapidly. Now another bombing strike from the Mirage. Alpha Jet manages to capitalize and kill a T-80BV as well. The 2A3 still going to get killed off. Nice thing about that bombing strike is although it didn't necessarily do a crazy amount, it does cause cohesion loss for those units. My Chieftain takes out one T-62, the Leopard 2A3 takes out the other, and now we're sitting on a +6 because we've managed to decap this sector. We've captured this sector completely. It's really just counting down very quickly. If a command comes in here, I'll use the Fox hopefully to kill it, just to keep things moving along. And there you go. That is, I think, most of the bombing strikes covered in this game. The Nighthawks got absolutely loads of airtime in this game. I've still got one left. It's just taken a while to repair because it took a lot of damage. The ATBV routing. But here comes the MiG-25 RBF once again. Su-24 going for the cluster strike. That poor Lux actually on the wrong end of that bombing strike though. Poor Lux, what did that ever do? But here we go, ticking towards victory. We're on over 1,900 points now with a +6. It doesn't take too long at all. That is pretty much GG. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the air show, because I thought that this game was a really fun one that showed off the Nighthawks and the Mirages to pretty much their full potential. In the end, 8,022 kills, 6,080 losses. If we scroll down, the AMX-30s were doing a good job, but the Nighthawk here, especially with the kill onto the triple arty, like flying around the right-hand side there and getting those arty kills, I thought was really cool. That was like a proper Nighthawk stealth job. That was really awesome. And then the Mirage 4s, this one actually claimed quite a few kills on that right-hand side. Like the Sapori did die to that Mirage 4, and this Mirage 4 also got a couple kills, although not as many. Considering how much these cost, I think they're like 400 points. Like definitely didn't pay themselves off. But hey, fun to use. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.